What's going on, everybody? This is our May 2nd stream. This is Auction House Live, and we will be covering Bring a Trailer auctions today. We're just getting set up here, so just give us a couple minutes. But I believe what we are going to do is hop right into the 35K mile 1999 Toyota Super Twin Turbo 6-speed that has around 14 minutes left. And then possibly hop on over to the 996 Turbo S6 speed. We're going to talk a little bit about the 2005 Ferrari 612 Scaglietti 6 speed. And possibly touch on a couple more 996s, an E92 M3, an AP2 S2000, and finish the show off with an NB Mazda Miata 6-speed. Also, if we have some time later, one of our good buddies, Bring a Trailer buddies, Bruce M, has his R230 SL600 and also a CL600 selling today, and so we might cover those. But it's looking like a super busy Thursday here on Bring a Trailer. I am going to share my screen with you guys in a minute. Here we go. Cool. So one person show today. Kyle is taking vacation in Miami down at Donald Trump's golf resort. But despite that, we're going to hop right on to this 35K mile 1995 Toyota Supra. This is twin turbo, 6-speed. This one kind of checks all the boxes if you're looking for a twin turbo Supra, only 35,000 miles. The seller probably saw Supra prices hiking in the past 5 years and has only added around 250 of the 35,000 miles. But this is a really, really cool car. I'm a big fan of Supras. I think they're kind of the quintessential mid-90s JDM car, super popular in the US. And this one is a low mileage example. It's sitting at 74.5. Pretty nice number considering kind of what these cars are all about. I know we had a Supra go well into the hundreds about a month ago with delivery miles or only a couple thousand miles, but this car looks exceptionally clean. It's out of Illinois. It's finished in Renaissance red over a tan leather interior. For the most part, I would say this is an stock example, but we have modifications that he or she installed the later model headlights. We have an aftermarket exhaust, an Apexi blow-off valve, which is super common on these Supras, a Greddy boost controller, and turbo timer. This is a Mark IV Supra. For those of you who are not familiar with the Supra generations, and yeah, it looks super clean. We're going to go through the gallery here. There you can see just classic Toyota Supra interior, almost S2000-esque in terms of how the controls are all angled at the driver, super driver focused. I think this car is going to do well because of its spec as well. The Renaissance red over the tan leather looks really, really nice. Let's keep going through this. There you can see the aftermarket blow-off, the intakes. So it's just bolt-on stuff. I'm sure if the seller of this car was careful enough to only drive it 250 miles that it retains all the stock parts, so I don't think that's anything to worry about. We also have a carbon fiber spark plug cover, as you can see. Like I said, that Apexi blow-off valve, and it looks like he did a ton of maintenance, all completed by Toyota, actually. I always thought it would be interesting if you showed up in a really clean Mark IV twin turbo Supra to Toyota, and it looks like this seller did just that. He had a new timing belt installed, serpentine belt, idler pulley, tensioner, water pump. So just basic timing belt, water pump service with the thermostat, probably a coolant flush associated with that. Here you can see that aftermarket catback exhaust. Little bit of vibration on cold starts. Like I said, I hope that the owner retained the stock parts. Little questionable considering it looks like we have 5 owners here. First owner being owners 1 through 3 being of 21 years. So the last 2 owners being more recently. Let's take a look at these photos. So the Renaissance Red shows very well. I don't know if it's this photo, but it looks like there's a little bit of fading in the front bumper. Stock 5-spoke chrome alloy wheels with the lug nut covers. I know a lot of guys upgrade those. They either keep them keep the wheels in the Supra family or install like JDM wheels on their Supras. That's just the classic Supra angle. I think that's probably the best angle of the car from the rear. He has that one fat exhaust pipe, that aftermarket catback. Looks really, really good in Renaissance Red. I mean, if you're driving this around, you're going to be seen. There's going to be a lot of love on the road for these, especially in how they've jumped in the past couple of years. There you can kind of see the target top. He has it off. This looks like a super clean example. There's the target top mounting points and all convertibles. A lot of guys complain about this, how the friction points have kind of worn away and the paint has faded. But whether it be an S2000, a Miata, a Supra, any kind of Targa or convertible, you're going to see wear at the friction point. So that's really not a big deal. There's that aftermarket catback with the chrome tips. Looks like it retains all Toyota glass. There's cross drilled and crossed threaded rotors on this, and it looks like the Super monikers on the caliber, so it looks really, really nice. Cross drilled, sorry about that. There's a 6-speed. Interior is just exceptionally clean. Really, really nice car. I mean, look at the seats. A little bit of wear as expected. I find that on tan cars, they don't hide wear at all, really. Any lighter interior, you're gonna experience a lot of wear. So there you can see a little bit on the left thigh bolstering. But overall, really, really, really clean. And we're sitting at $75,000 with less than 8 minutes to go. Highest bidder is Decon 3. Let's check out some of the top comments. So one of the most recent is, I love this car in Chicagoland. I know of one familiar also in Chicago. That one's one owner with the same miles. Hope this brings 100K plus. Less than an hour to go. Good luck, bidders. Let's check out the seller. Let's see if this is his first auction, if he has had any others. One of the best features of bringing trailers is that everyone has a reputation on this site. So let's check out and see what this Mark IV Supra owner's history looks like. So this is his first, for the first car he's auctioned. Light bid history, nothing won, just bid up on a couple. And he's been a member since May of 2017. So looks like a JDM guy. Most of his comments are on either Acura NSXs. It looks like he had a couple S2000 comments. Here he bid up a Integra Type R. So looks like Japanese car enthusiast. But we have less than 7 minutes to go on this Mark IV Supra. It's finished in Renaissance Red. These twin turbocharged 3 liters are just absolutely incredible on these Mark IV cars. He added headlights and taillights from a 1997 Supra, which I think is a cool addition. Like I said, I hope he retains all the stock parts, and I think that if he wants, that high bid, that those will have to have been retained. You can see these aren't my favorite. This isn't my favorite aspect of the car. These 5-spoke factory chrome wheels with the lug nut covers. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but they look good. So accident-free history, this car's been around. It looks like, what do we have? 6 or 7 different states here. A major service was just done to this car. I think for the most part, these are reliable. If I had one wish, I would expect a few more photos out of the seller. I don't think this gallery quite captures how nice of an example this is. There you can see the carbon fiber valve cover, spark plug cover, aftermarket air filters, aftermarket blow-off valve. This is a longitudinal 3-liter twin turbocharged 6 classic Supra engine on these Mark IVs. Super clean engine bay. It's really, really nice that all the timing belt and water pump services have been done. Looking underneath, you have some surface oxidation on the control arms as expected. This car is based out of Illinois. He has all the pictures confirming that the VIN is tied to the panels. It looks like he has both sets of keys, original owner's manual. This is from Gretty, so that's probably for the blow-off. Looks like some kind of factory Toyota tool is also included. He's got the pre-delivery inspection from 1995. That's pretty cool. Let's take a look. So I think these are the wear photos. Like I was mentioning, on the top and bottom bolster, there's a little bit of wear on the driver's side. Nothing too major. Classic, just OEM super pedals. Really nicely set up for heel towing. Like I said, the Super Dash kind of reminds me of the S2000. A lot of it's digitalized and it's all driver oriented, so it's all focused at the driver. This one has only tick under 35,000 miles. There's that round clock, all your readouts. Down here you have climate control, and then you have basically just standard gauges for tach and speed. There you can see the aftermarket exhaust unit. It looks like this car might have Bilsteins on it or something similar. I'm not sure about tires or the date codes on that. There you can see if you take off the Targa top, it stows really nicely in the rear. Looks like that the rear has almost like an integrated cover or luggage concealer that's built into the hatch. This hatch kind of reminds me of the C5 or C6 Corvette. You could actually fit a lot of stuff when the trunk opens this wide on these sport coupes. It's really, really nice. Obviously, you're not going to fit anything too major in there with the Targa top off, but it looks really great. Looks like overall the Targa top is in pretty good condition. Sometimes because these can be removed and are removed so frequently, they get a little bit dinged up, but that one looks pretty nice. Just basic factory interior, retains factory spare. Yeah. I'm not the biggest Super guy, but I can see why these have been getting a lot of love recently. I think a lot of guys are really into the JDM stuff, specifically in the early to mid 90s when they might have been growing up, and something like a Mark IV Supra, especially a mostly stock twin turbo car with a 6-speed and light modifications, finished in Renaissance red, would be extremely attractive. I really like the fact that it's a tan or beige leather interior and not black. I think that really complements the Renaissance red really nicely. But we have less than 2 minutes to go. This is Auction House Live if you're just tuning in. We're covering this 35K mile 1995 Toyota Supra Twin Turbo 6-speed. It's bid up to $76,069. VK627 says, "This is strong money. Thank you, Fast and Furious." Yep, we're kind of sitting on a Fast and Furious wave here. I think it's going to get even crazier when R34 GTRs become federalized under the 25-year rule. This Toyota Supra, of course, these were imported in 1995 to the U.S., so that rule doesn't apply to these. But we're starting to see the generation that grew up in the 90s get a little bit of money, and they're starting to acquire their dream cars. And for many, that was the Supra. And we just had a bid come in for $77,000 by Decon3. Let's check out his profile, see what he's all about. So Decon3 has been a member for about a year now. Like I said, there seems to be the Super guys seem to really appreciate JDM stuff, which is not a surprise. This guy has a lot of bids on S2000s, AP1s, and AP2s. Most recently in NSX, and he's the highest bidder right now on this 35K mile Toyota Supra. Trademarks has a lot of want here. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know why Twin Cam is saying, damn, I hope so, but maybe he is rooting for Decon 3. We have less than a minute to go on this Mark IV Supra. Comments are coming in. This is a super clean one. I have to agree with that. Not completely stock, but nothing major. You know, these are all just super bolt-on modifications, exhaust, blow-off valve, intakes, valve covers, nothing too crazy. Let's see if I get a date code on these tires. These are 255 40Z R17s. They're Michelin's. I can't see a date code, so that might need to be addressed if these are old tires. I don't think it mentioned in the ad either, so just something for the buyer to be beware of. So we have less than 12 seconds to go, and let's see if this one sells for $77,000 or if we get another bid in the final minutes. Nope. Sold. $77,000 to Decon 3. I know there were a couple guys saying 100 grand this, 100 grand that, but I think that's a strong price for a 35K mile Mark IV Supra. Let's check out the comps just to see how Decon 3 did. So we have another one up right now. This is a JDM car, and this is what appears to be a Mark III Supra. But we just had this 35K mile one sell for $77,000. Same year, Toyota Supra Twin Turbo sold for $38,000 last week. I suspect higher mileage or something. Yeah, 181,000 miles shown. So not so much a direct comparison. Here's that 7K mile 1994 that kind of broke records, selling for $121,000. This car kind of shook the market a little bit. Also finished in Renaissance Red, year prior to the one that just sold, but regardless, these two cars, the 1993, the Mark III, and this 1994, selling for 100,000 plus. I think these were kind of the poster book cars that got everybody talking about the Supra movement. $77,000 for a 35K mile 1995. That's a strong price. So I am not surprised that sold and that the owner is satisfied. So let's hop back into the live auctions to see what we have going on next. I think what we're going to do is hop into this 996 Turbo S. This is a 2005 model. 2005, I believe, was the last year of the 995. I had a friend who had a 2005 Carrera S and with an aero kit, and his was a 997. So I think there was a little bit of overlap in the factory for this year. I'm sure all our viewers know, but 996 was the first generation of the water-cooled 911. 993 was the last air-cooled car, and there was a 993 Turbo S, and this was a continuation of that Turbo S moniker. And as you can see, this is aftermarket wheels. They look like forged 2 or 3 piece wheels. Turbo S's always come with carbon ceramic brakes, as indicated by the yellow calibers. All the turbo models have side induction here for the turbos, essentially. This car has wider flares front and rear, the turbo bumper, and it's finished in GT silver metallic with a black leather interior. Here you can see kind of all the turbo features. You have slats in the rear bumper, a little bit of a ducktail spoiler. This is kind of like the 993. It's not so much a ducktail, but I think they call it, I think it's like a turbo wing or something. Here you can see the venting for for the engine. This is one of 186 coupes imported. So these Turbo S's, I didn't realize for the 996 are so incredibly rare. This one is 43,000 miles. It's out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. I believe that's Morris County. These wheels are by Champion Motorsports. And let's check out the seller here. The dude abides. Wow, so is the seller a dealer? Yeah, so the seller's a dealer based out of Bridgewater. He actually has two 996s up right now. I believe this car is also selling today. 28 lots auctioned. I think if you've been auctioning that many lots for this long, you're pretty reputable on Bring a Trailer. But regardless, let's hop back into his 2005 Porsche 911 Turbo S. So these have a 3.6 liter twin turbocharged engine. They're Mesker engines, which basically describe the design. And this is the factory X50 package. Twin turbochargers and intercoolers from the GT2, along with a specially tuned ECU. I think the Turbo S's were kind of a parts bin car, taking parts from all of the best, some parts from the GT cars like the GT3, and some parts from the GT2, which I think is really, really cool. This car is selling with all factory literature, clean New Jersey title. GT Silver Metallic is just one of the kind of basic, just, Porsche colors. So this car is factory stainless steel exhaust. Paint meter readings from all around the car also included in this. We have 19-inch Champion Motorsport wheels. For those who don't know, Champion is the biggest Porsche dealer in the United States. They're based out of Florida, and they also have a range of performance products that a lot of enthusiasts love. These wheels look pretty cool. They almost look like a BBS product. I assume they're forged. They're mounted to Nitto tires with 2015 date codes. If I were to buy a car like this, I think I'd probably throw on some newer tires, maybe some Michelin Pilot Super Sports or PS4s. Like I mentioned earlier, Turbo S's all come standard with carbon ceramic brakes. Just as a basis, you can determine the difference between steel and carbon ceramic based on the color of the calipers. So red indicates steel, yellow indicates carbon ceramics. Inside, basic 996 interior. Not the biggest fan of the 996 interior's layout. I really like the updated interior seen in the 997. Classic 996 gear shift. It's incredibly cool that you could get a Turbo S, though, with the 6-speed. That ended in the 997. All Turbo S's were PDK only. So to be able to have, the highest turbo car, the highest spec turbo car with a 6-speed, I think that's really, really, really cool. So silver, GT Silver Metallic over all black leather. Pretty much standard fare in terms of the interior. Seems like all 996s, regardless of spec, be it a Carrera, a GT3, or a GT2, or a Turbo S like here, they all have super similar interiors. The price differences you see are mainly because of performance add-ons, suspension differences, brake differences. This car is a twin turbocharged and intercooled 3.6 liter Metzger engine. It also has the X150 package, which comes with larger turbos and intercoolers. Basically just the hardware from a 996 GT2. So this makes it one of the rarest Turbo S's, because it has that X150 performance pack. We have a manual transaxle. The DME shows 10,800 over revs in range 1 and 100 in range 2. I think that's standard. I was actually covering a car with my partner Kyle on Auction House Live last week, and I believe it was a GT3 that was selling and had 0 over revs, and that was the first time I'd ever seen that. As a basis, I don't really consider over revs in range 1 or 2, even up to 3, too daunting. I think that's totally fine. When you're approaching range 5 and 6, okay, let's talk about it a little bit. But overall, I think this car is in great shape. Now that I've gotten down to this gallery, am able to zoom in on the pictures a little bit. I must say I really like those Champion forged wheels. You can see the offset differences front to rear. I really like that. I assume they clear the larger carbon ceramic calibers very, very well. There you can see the factory lip with small inlets. These are in plastic. I'm not sure about the replacement cost of those, but it's kind of nice that if they are plastic, that they wouldn't set you back too much, because I don't believe this car has front lift. These 996s, they're the recipient of a lot of criticism, mainly because of their headlights. Definitely not the most beautiful Porsche design, but I really like these wider body cars, the Carrera S, 4S, the Turbos, the Turbo S, and the GT cars. I think if you look past the headlights a little bit, they look pretty exotic. And I think they can be had for a really, really good price if you play the market right. Here, unfortunately, the front bumper has been drilled on this car. Looks like it doesn't have bumper plugs that a lot of owners incorporate if they drill their bumpers. Here's a good perspective of the 996 headlights, rather than cutting them off right here and keeping them traditional Porsche 911 headlights, which are the ovals. They kind of grafted in that turn signal pod. Not my favorite design, but I can look past it, especially when we're dealing with a car like this, which is a Turbo X150 package, upgraded turbos and intercoolers, both from the GT2, factory carbon ceramic brakes, a 6-speed manual. Just a really, really cool car. And we have less than 8 minutes to go. We're sitting at $57,000. Looks like this car carried with it a MSRP of $141,000 in 2005. Additional equipment includes full leather, GT silver metallic. You have the stainless steel exhaust pipes, sport shifter. I'm not sure about that. I wonder if that's a short shifter. And then you have 18-inch Sport Techno wheels. I hope the owner has retained those Sport Techno wheels, although the Champion Motorsport units look really, really nice. But there's that engine. Wow. Really, really cool that it has the X150 package. I wasn't too familiar with that package until I came across this car. I didn't realize that you had the option of having GT2 turbos and intercoolers installed on these Turbo S's, but it makes a lot of sense that they did. Let's go through the gallery here, check it out. There's a classic turbo inlets on the side, feeding the turbos all that air. Looks like here you can see that's on a scratch. Looks like some paint protection film. You could kind of tell that this is older paint protection film, not the newest technology, because the line is so defined. If it were my car, I'd probably get all this old stuff removed very carefully, use a heat gun and a lot of lubrication to take it off so you don't peel off clear coat, and then possibly have all the high-risk areas wrapped in the more modern XPEL, which is self-healing. It applies really, really nicely. Can't exactly see the seams. There's another seam. It looks like these mirrors actually have 2 seams on them. Blind spot mirrors were installed aftermarket by the seller. There's the sunroof. Ooh, those Champion Motorsport wheels look even better up close. Wow. Those look really, really nice. There's the Turbo S badging. Looks like a little bit of damage to the front lip, but that's as expected with a car like this. It's as low as it is without front lift. Looks like we might have an aftermarket laser or radar detection unit right here that's zip tied on. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'm sure it's been detailed in the comments. If it was me and I was buying this Turbo S, I'd probably have this bumper removed, these holes bondoed up, and just have it all resprayed. Might install a new front lip, depending upon what my purposes with the car would be. I really, really like this detail. These side vents or side louvers almost in the rear fascia. I think that's really, really nice. And even though those tips look aftermarket, I think those are factory stainless steel exhaust tips, which is really, really cool. Wow. Super clean. Cool that you have the little Turbo S badge there. Factory nav. I don't think any navigation has really aged well, especially those made in the early 2000s. Classic 996 shifter. Pretty much the entire interior is just standard 996 fare. Looks really, really clean. I kind of wish it was a more exotic color than GT Silver Metallic. If it was almost a dark blue or a Riviera blue or a Mexico blue or even something like a speed yellow, I think it would be really, really striking. GT Silver Metallic isn't my favorite color. Looks like you actually have gray contrast stitching or silver contrast stitching there throughout the interior, which is a nice little touch on the head visors. Let's see if it also has that on the seats. Yeah, on the seats you also have contrast stitching that matches the exterior. Here's the frunk. Nothing too major there. Factory mats in color. Looks like the front driver's mat has a little bit of wear. That's mainly from your heel digging in when your feet are on the pedals left and right because this car has a clutch. There's the factory fan sucking air in to keep this twin turbocharged 3.6 Metzger engine cool. All the factory stickers, a lot of documentation. 2 keys, 3 keys actually. It looks like a valet key as well. We have an RO from Autosport of Westfield. Bill Vince's Bridgewater Acura. I wonder if the seller of this is Bill Vince's Bridgewater Acura. I know Bill Vince has a really large performance car inventory, pre-owned performance car inventory, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was one of his cars out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. I didn't see any underbody photos on this car, which is surprising considering it's a dealer selling it and they most definitely have access to a lift. I probably would want some underbody photos considering we have 43,000 miles in this car as a Northeast car. Regardless, I think it's super special. I didn't realize this is one of 186, incredibly rare. We have less than 2 minutes to go. We're sitting at $57,000. This is Auction House Live. For those who have just tuned in, we're covering this 996 Porsche 911 Turbo S 6-speed. This has the X150 package, which includes the larger turbocharger and intercooler, actually from a 996 GT2. Super rare car, only one of around 186, finished in GT Silver Metallic over a black leather interior. We just had another bid come in for $57,500, setting the clock back to 2 minutes. That bid came from Muscle Made. Let's see if we could get a consensus of what people are talking about here. I have a black turbo, it's cruise, 6-speed manual. Looks like there's some conversations about valuation, which is pretty typical per Bring a Trailer. So it seems like a lot of people are really, really liking this car. I mean, there's so much to like here. Um, the last manual Turbo S, despite being a 996, which isn't the most loved body style. The fact that it's a manual, has the X150 package, and it's finished in just a classic Porsche color. You can't really go wrong with GT Silver Metallic. I was saying earlier that I would prefer a darker blue, maybe a darker light blue on this, or maybe even a yellow, I think would be super striking to match the calibers. But this car looks like it's in incredible shape. Out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. Was a California car since 2010 and then shipped to the Northeast. $141,000 new. Comes with a DMV report, which shows some over revs in range 1 and 2, but nothing over that. We have 10 seconds to go. This car is at 57,500. Will it sell? Will it not? Let's see. Sold $57,500 to Muscle Made. I think that's an extremely good value for a 996 Turbo S with 40,000-ish miles. Like I said, this is the last Turbo S to ever come with a 6-speed from 997 on. Those cars were all PDK. This car is just a classic spec GT Silver Metallic over black leather. Has Champion Motorsports wheels. I don't think it retains the factory wheels, which is unfortunate. But it's being sold out of a dealer from Bridgewater, New Jersey. And I hope Muscle Made is happy with his purchase. I think this is a really, really good sports car to get into for $57,000. You're not going to see another one on the road. I think that he won't lose any money on this considering its rarity. And I just think it's a really, really nice, fast 911. The first thing I would do is take off that Bridgewater Acura badge. Yeah, cool. Another one sold. So this is the second car that's sold. The second car we've covered today on Auction House Live. The first car we covered was Mark IV Supra, finished in Renaissance Red with a 6-speed. That car had 35,000 miles, and I believe it sold for around $77,000. This is a 996 Turbo S 6-speed, and it just closed for $57,500. Check back here in 5 years and see how much this car will sell for. Great investment. I agree. Captain Slow 996, one of 186. I think this was extremely well bought. Still more comments coming in. I think the seller did well, and I think the buyer did well. I think both parties are happy. Bring a Trailer is happy. They got their fee. But yep, we're going to move on from that 996 Turbo S to our next car. For those of you just joining, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions. Today we're covering a lot of exotic cars. We're going to jump into this Ferrari 612 next and talk a little bit about that. For those who are watching, shoot some comments in the chat. Love to hear what you think, what cars you're excited for that are coming up, kind of what you're looking for, what you're into. Anything really. It's awesome to have some communication with the viewers. But we're going to hop into this 2005 Ferrari 612. For those of you who don't know the 612 or are not too familiar with it, this car was came after the 456. Both of those cars, the 456 and the 612, are 2x2 GT cars. I'll pull up the 456 really quickly on Google Images here so you can kind of get an idea of what that looked like. Similar, but almost, this was of the era of the 550 and the 575, so it had that similar grille. Here you can see with the 612 we're coming into the 599 era, so you see the design sway towards that. These cars are really cool, especially considering that it's a 6-speed. It's not my favorite design. These cars were all were Ferrari's, family haulers, if there is one. The car that preceded this was the 456, like I said, and the car that came after it was the FF. So the FF, for those of you who don't know, is a Ferrari hatchback, can fit 4 people no problem. This is a 2x2 coupe, and it's only one of 199 examples with a 6-speed. This car has the Daytona style seats, finish in Argento Nürburgring, which is a classic silver over black leather. It has the Scuderia shields, 18-inch wheels, 2x2 seating, as I mentioned. Not the most loved Ferrari, but considering it is a 5.7 liter V12, 2x2 seating, and rear-wheel drive with the 6-speed, finish in Argento Nürburgring, I think this car is going to do really well, and it's not a car that you're going to lose money on. A little bit of wear on these Daytona seats, classic Daytona seats. You could see the front and rear. The patterns are exactly the same. Not too sure about rear legroom there. I suspect it isn't the best. And that right there it says it all. This is the gated 6-speed. There's nothing really better than an Italian gated 6-speed. These cars were pre-Maranello switch. The Maranello switch was that red switch on the steering wheel that adjusts driving dynamics of the car. So you have wet mode, you have comfort, track, race, all in that Maranello switch. These cars came before that. It looks like we might have some really early navigation head units here from Ferrari. One of the things that all Ferraris really suffer from is switches becoming tacky after a while. I'm not too sure about this car, but it looks like the interior has been well kept. It has 44,000 miles. You can expect these 2x2 cars and the GT cars to have more higher mileage than traditional Ferraris, like the GTB style cars, the 458, the 488. Those cars retain really low mileage, but these cars were meant to be driven. These were Ferrari's 2x2s, or for the FF family cars that are meant to be dailies. So not surprised here to see that this one has 44,000 miles. There's that 5.7 liter V12. A lot of these Ferraris from this era are said to have V12s that share components from the Ferrari Enzo, which is Ferrari's poster car. This engine was rated at 533 horsepower and 434 pounds-feet of torque new, enough to propel the 612 to 60 in a tick over 4 seconds. Looks like a Bay Area car. Photo shoot was done right in front of the Golden Gate. You can tell how long this car is, and that it's really meant to be a more comfortable GT car. Like I said, I'm not sure about rear seat room. Possibly you could fit the kids there, or if not the kids, then some luggage. But look at how long the car is from the A-pillar up. It just needs to house that huge 5.7 liter V8. And I just think there's a ton of mass up there. But overall, looks pretty nice. Like I said, the 612 isn't my favorite body style. I really enjoy the 599. This one has French plates on it. Californian's pretty relaxed with license plates, so I'm sure he was able to rock that French plate, for a while. But it's interesting to see how the design philosophy evolves and changes. Here you can see a lot of 599 starting to develop in the front of this car. You could also see with the headlights and these front quarters, a little bit of like FF starting to develop in the Ferrari design language. And then if we turn the car around, these round headlights that have like body surrounds and the body protrudes a little bit around them. This almost looks like a baby F430 light, which is carried through Ferraris of today. But it's interesting to see how these early 2000 cars defined some of the design language that would carry on to later models in the Ferrari range. For those of you watching, this is Auction House Live. We just covered a Mark IV Toyota Supra. Then we went on to cover a 996 Turbo S. And now we're looking at this Ferrari 612, which is Ferrari's 2x2 coupe. There you can see the carbon ceramic brakes, 6-speed manual with the gated shifter that these Ferraris are known for. I think anything with a gated shifter in 2019 is going to appreciate, so this is not a bad place to park some money. But yeah, overall looks like a really clean example. Here you can see the really early Ferrari displays. You have a display in the gauge pod, but you also have a display right above the stick. I'm not sure about the quality of these displays. I don't think they're probably the best. That's all right. Here, this is kind of an optical illusion. It looks like there's 4 pedals, but that's actually a reflection of the gas. All the pedals are completely billet. Really, really nice. These are set up for heel towing, and it's just so strange to see a clutch pedal in a Ferrari. I just think that's really, really cool. Daytona seats look super comfortable for long haul trips. A little bit of wear on the bottom bolstering. There's the classic Ferrari F1 World Championship badge. These are, I think, in cars still today. I rode in a 430 pretty recently that also had that badge. Looks like the key is a little worn down. Paint's chipping off of that. Some may call that patina. I'm not entirely sure about how reliable these gauges are if they tend to pixelate. 2005 is super early to have this digital gauge pod, especially with temperature readouts. I wonder if this is configurable. I'm not too sure. For those familiar with the 612, if you want to hop in the comments and let me know, that'd be great. Really cool rear seats. Look at how bolstered these are. These might be some of the most bolstered rear seats I've ever seen in a car. Continuing with the Daytona style, really, really nicely trimmed. Looks like you might actually be able to fit, a decent sized person back here, which is be really, really cool. There's that 5.7 liter V8, classic Ferrari air boxes, really, really nice. Look at the velocity stacks on both sides. Camshaft cover, dual overhead cam. Really, really cool car. So we're at $100,000, less than 2 minutes to go. This is Auction House Live, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. This is Auction House Live, and we have less than 2 minutes to go on this Ferrari 612. Let's take a look at the comments here. Trojan fan says he's very tempted. He's at a 06 612 with the F1 gearbox. And he recently did the timing belts, tension bearings, and water pump. Not too difficult, just time consuming. And as of now, he says $100,000 is a great price on a 3-pedal. I agree. Just as we're bid up to $102,000 by Detroit Steel. A lot of sellers are saying this is the ugly Ferrari. I don't disagree with that, but to have a Ferrari with a 6-speed manual, it's special regardless of how it looks. Like I said, it's super interesting to see how Ferrari design language evolved after the 612. You see a lot of their previous cars in the 612, and then a lot of their more recent cars in the 612, and it was one of those cars that was a mashup of both. It didn't work fully, doesn't really work fully for me, but I think it's an important car considering that it stood between the 599, the 458, F12, all the later cars that we have come to absolutely adore and love. I think this was a progression towards them, and you see that in the design language of this car. It's quite a long car, pretty heavy, but a 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V12 powering this 6-speed gated manual. Really, really nice. This car is optioned in Argento Nürburgring, which is a classic silver color. Black leather Daytona seats. This car has the Scuderia shields on both sides. Calibers done in red. Factory's 5-spoke Ferrari forged wheels. And we're bid up to $103,000 by user 123. A lot of guys are saying I think we're still 50K off, even though it has 45,000 miles. It's extremely rare in the last Ferrari. And Ferrari, the last time I checked, aren't making any more manuals. That is true, especially the gated 6, which they all came with and which people love. We're at $104,000. 120. Wow, knockout big by Dan Dona. Wow. That was a bit of a punch right there. Jumping it up $16,000 on this 2005 Ferrari 612. We're going to scroll up. So this is a 5-owner car, capable of 190 miles an hour. There you can see the 5.7 liter V12. Speedometer is set at 220 miles an hour. It's a 2x2 cabin. Finish in beautiful black leather that seems to have held up well. The Daytona seats in the rear almost look exactly like the Daytona seats in the front in terms of bolstering, which I was really, really surprised to see. Has large brakes on this beast, 4-piston calibers with cross-drilled 15-inch rotors in the front, 14-inch in the back. Front and rear bumpers were repainted to alleviate scrapes, it looks like. And looks like the owner of this was rocking a French plate on it in San Francisco, California, which I think is pretty cool. Let's take a look into the owner just as this car gets bid up to $121,000. See if he has auctioned anything else. He has not. His comment here just popped out to me. He said, this car is a driver, fun-loving road trip. Ferrari long bonnet V12 with a gated shifter. This is what dreams are made of. Arguably no better driving experience for the price. Looks like this car has some cosmetic issues. Like, it's a 44,000 mile Ferrari. Front and rear bumpers have been repainted. I'm sure it has its fair share of rock chips, maybe a couple dings here and there, but $130,000 Ferrari 612. I think you're doing well. I think you're going to get a lot of use out of this. No reports on maintenance, which I find a little bit daunting. We had a commenter chime in the thread below saying that he has a 612, not with the 6-speed, but with the F1 gearbox, and that he actually banged out the timing belt and water pump service on his own, saying it wasn't too daunting at all. So that's super surprising to hear. This 5.7 liter makes 533 horsepower. If this was mine, I think I'd definitely fit it with an exhaust. I think that would complement it really well. We have a ton of comments coming in just as we hit $130,000. I think Dan Donna wants this. Let's check out his history on Bring a Trailer. Panther Jet saying he saw one of these, probably a collector 612 6-speed listed for $300,000. Other commenters were saying their estimates for this car around $150,000. We're sitting at $130,000 with a minute to go. No, we just got bid up to $131,000 by user 123. Looks like this is going to be a bit of a battle between user 123 and Dan Donna. Laser Guru is saying continues to be bizarre that 44K miles is considered to be really high mileage. And he has a 456 MGT. Yup, 6-speed manual. That's a cool car. That's the car that came before the 612. Just going to check the comments here. For those of you just tuning in, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions about 3 times a week. We live stream them, provide live commentary to the end of the auction. Today we started with a Mark IV Toyota Supra. Then we went on to a 996 Turbo S. And now we're following the auction of this 2005 Ferrari 612. This is a 6-speed car. Super rare. About one of 100, I believe, made in a 6-speeder, one of 200 ever delivered. So this is one of 200 examples ever reported to have a 6-speed, but only one of 60 to be delivered to North America, which is really, really cool. We're sitting at $135,000. Top bidder is Dan Donna. With less than 40 seconds to go, it looks like there's a bit of bidding war between the highest bidder right now and user 123. Let's see if user 123 comes back. Yep. Nope. Wow. We just had, I don't know. Yep, there it goes. User 123. That was weird. We just had a very delayed bid chime. There was no bid, and then it came in. So we're sitting at $136,000. Oh, wow, Dan Donna. I think his lowest bid increment was up $4,000. His highest was $16,000. I think he really wants this 612. I'd be interested to see where reserve is set at. I think at 140 we've probably met it. Everyone's saying that the highest bidder here, Dan Donna, isn't messing around. And I'm gonna like that. He definitely is not. So this car, for those of you just tuning in, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions about 3 times a week, and this car is finished in GT Silver Metallic with a black leather interior, Daytona seats, 4-piston calipers all around. Rotors are 15-inch in the front, 14-inch in the rear, 5.7 liter V12 under the hood, 6-speed manual transmission. It's a gated manual, like all Ferraris. Not the most beautiful Ferrari GT I've ever seen, but this is a 2x2, front and rear seats. And we're sitting at about $140,000 on this 44,000 mile example. This one is out of San Francisco. Looks like he took the pictures in the Presidio, right next to the Golden Gate Bridge. Really, really cool gallery. Yeah, as I mentioned, the 612 kind of sits in an awkward place in Ferrari's lineup. There are only about 3,000 of these cars produced from, I think, 2004 to around 2010. So they were preceded by the 456, and their successor is the Ferrari FF. I absolutely love the FF. I think it looks like a modern day M Coupe, but it has I think you would spec either a V8 or a naturally aspirated V12 to that. The most recent iteration of that is the GTC4 Lusso. And we're sitting at $143,000 on this Ferrari 612 6-speed.
What up?
We just had midnight MK7 walk in the door. Everybody, he's back home early from work. I don't know what
YouTube.
I don't know what that's about. We might have him on the stream in a little bit, but right now we're streaming this Ferrari 612 with a 6-speed.
Interrupt the stream. Are you actually on?
Oh yeah. So we're sitting at 143,000 miles on this Argento Nürburgring Ferrari 612. Highest bidder has been going at it. Smallest bid increment has been $4,000. Jumped the bid from 104 to 120,000. So he's a serious bidder. But we're less than a minute to go on this Ferrari 612. User 123, who's been in this bidding war, says, show of hands, bid again. And it's getting bid up faster than any comment I've ever seen. He's already at 25 upvotes. I'm going to give him another. He's sitting at 26, 28. This is crazy. Wow. For those of you just tuning in, this is Auction House Live. We stream Bring a Trailer auctions. Mattman, yeah, I'm flying solo today. That's right. Kyle is he's in Miami at Donald Trump's golf resort. Actually, he's at Trump Doral right now. But thanks for tuning in, Mattman. Right now we're covering the 612. Sorry I missed your comment a little bit earlier. Let me know what auctions you're looking at today, Mattman. But we were just bid up to $144,000 on this Ferrari 612 by user 123. I think Dan Donna has the rebuttal for sure. I'm rooting for Dan Donna. Let's go. Ironically, it would be easier to bid right now if my car were manual. Yep, there it is. Jumping it up another $2,000 to $146,000. Price estimates for this 612 were around 150, so we're approaching that. This auction's been going on for a while here. We have Midnight MK7 sitting down in the studio. Yeah. He's home early from work. How you doing, Midnight?
Not too bad. Just got my teeth clawed out at the dentist, but
there we go.
Crushing it.
Back from the dentist. So there's been a lot of conversation in this thread about high versus low mileage on Ferraris. This example is 44,000 miles, but it is Ferrari's 2x2 GT car. The successor to the 612 is the Ferrari FF, so these cars were intended to be daily drivers. This car has the Daytona seats, black leather, and a 6-speed gated manual. So it's a rare example. There's only 200 of these cars worldwide in manuals. The production run was 3,000, and this is one of 60 in North America with a manual. Like I said, it's kind of the ugly duckling of the Ferrari range, but it's interesting to see how it features design, modern day design language. So you can see a lot of Ferrari 599 in this. In the tail, you can see some 430 in the tail lights. A little bit of earlier cars like the 550 and 575 in it, but it sits in a weird position in the Ferrari range where it's not modern, but it's not old, and it's not the most beautiful thing. But in terms of a driver, I think this car is really sought after. There's never going to be another V12 front engine rear wheel drive car with a 6-speed gated transmission, and we were just bid up to $147,000. Comment from Mattman, kind of a lean day for my taste. The Datsun 510 looks good though. I agree, Mattman. It seems like there's a couple SLs. I think Bruce M has a couple 600 model Mercedes. We have this Ferrari, a Mark IV Toyota Supra. We have a Mazda Speed Miata coming up, which I'm pretty excited for. An AP2 S2000 and a couple others. Yeah. That's right.
That Mazda.
Let's see what we're at on the Mazda Speed Miata. We're actually up to 10,100. I think this Mazda Speed has to go for at least 12. Bid up to 10,100 by a 277 MX-5. But we'll come back to this a little bit later. So there's 2 minutes left. Out. Yeah, username definitely checks out. Just got another bid, $148,000 by Dan Donna.
What's your price target on this one?
Price target on this is $152,000.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this 612 is met reserve at 145, if not 140. I think this car is 100% selling today. There's been a couple comments that collector 612s, those with delivery miles, were priced at around 300, which I think is a little wild considering that you know, the 612 is kind of known to be the ugly duckling in the Ferrari GT range. But this car, with 44,000 miles as a driver, front and rear bumper were repainted, plethora of rock chips on the hood. But this is a car if you have the means, it's a very special car to take on trips, especially if you're in the Northwest or on the West Coast. This car is based out of San Francisco. Really cool gallery here. Pictures were taken in the Presidio. Another bid just came in. I think we might have just hit 150.
I actually think this is a pretty car.
Yeah.
You call it an ugly duckling, but I think this is an enthusiast kind of. I don't know. I would give a lot of credit to somebody
Who drove? I mean, I've never seen one in the flesh.
Exactly.
And
so it's a bit of a unicorn.
Yeah.
An ugly unicorn, sure, but
yeah,
it's cool.
I agree with that. Kind of cool patina on the key. I'm trying to pull up the pictures of the back seats. I've never seen bolstering on back seats as aggressive as this. It almost looks like
looks like a car seat.
Yeah, they literally took the front Daytona seats and integrated them into the rear wall. But we're at $151,000. What's funny?
User 123 show of hands then again.
Matt Man, that Miata does look good. Yes, it does, Matt Man. I agree. 53,000 miles. I think this is the best spec for a Mazda Speed Miata titanium gray over the two-tone red suede seats. Super clean example. One owner California car. Sitting at $10,100. I think the price target on this is anywhere between $12,000 and $14,000. We see a bit of a premium for one owner Mazda Speed, specifically those in titanium gray. So we're definitely going to be covering that a little bit later. But right now, we're going to see if this 612 is selling for $151,000. Yup, another bid came in, $154,000. User 123 at $144,000 seems skeptical as to whether or not he was gonna bid, but he's back in the race at $154,000. Seems like there's a ton of action on this thread. 1,200 watchers, 22,000 views. Let's take a look at some of these later photos. There's that 5.7 liter V12. One of the commenters actually mentioned that he has a 612 with the F1 gearbox and that he did the timing belt and water pump on his own recently and that it wasn't too daunting. There's the factory toolkit, so clean, finished in that Daytona leather. This guy, California isn't too strict on plates, so he's been running a French plate on his 612, but there's the California registration right there. And 5-owner California car. Super clean. Also spent some time in Florida. Sitting at $157,000. This has exceeded my price target of $152,000. We have a minute 30 to go. This auction has been going way beyond because there's been so many bids. Basically, this run started at $102,000 and we're up to $150,000. Let's see what else is going on right now. We have a 996 coming up from that same seller in New Jersey, Bridgewater Acura. He just sold a 996 Turbo S that we covered. That was a really cool car with Champion Motorsport modifications. We have a little 964 here. This is one of my favorite cars I've seen on Bring a Trailer. This E92 14K mile 2013 M3 Coupe 6-speed. I think this looks so good. This is one of 3 delivered in Atlantis Blue Metallic. Competition package, it looks like, with those wheels. So possibly be covering that in a little bit. And then we have the Mazda Speed and a couple more. I think a few S2000s coming up later. But let's tune back into the 612. Matt Man, are you more of a JDM guy, following the Datsun 510 and commenting that Miata looks good? I would love to know what's in your garage as well. But yep, definitely following this MB Mazda Speed. Looks super nice. Out of Danville, California. Beautiful car. Another bid for this 612. We're at 158. Some guys are saying in the comments that this car is going to hit 180. I don't think we're going to go that high on a 44,000 mile example. But you never know. It only takes two. We have a little bit of a battle between user 123 and Dan Don.
I would love to get a demographic on these top bidders on this Ferrari.
Yeah, totally. Kind of just arbitrarily bidding on I don't know if they've seen it, if they're local, but
You have any account history on them?
I'm going to check right now. User 123, he's won one car. Let's see. Just a 996 4S. Bid up to 2,500. That's a good deal for 996 4S. That's a wide body car, same body as the turbo. All right, I'm done bidding. Just came in. Did he just say that? I think user 123 is out at 158,000 bucks. Let's see if Dan Don's gonna come back with less than 48 seconds to go. This guy just joined for this car, so you see a lot of that on Bring a Trailer. I think they do really, really well with Facebook and Google Ads. And also I think there's a lot of advertisements and talk on Reddit and on private Ferrari threads. And we see a lot of this for the Porsche cars. A lot of guys just join for one car and then their history is super quiet. But we're about to see who has this car. 158,000 bucks. User 123 has said he's out. Will there be a rebuttal or will it be his? Can we get 160? No, we can't. Last second bids. Sold for $158,000 to user 123. Like my pseudo partner here, Midnight MK7 was saying, 612 super unique, especially with the 6-speed. This is one of 2,000 worldwide, one of 60 in North America. Comments flooding in, congratulating user 123. But yeah, we're going to hop on to the next one. I think a little bit above my price target at 152,000, but not too much of a deviation from that. Smoking hot deal, truly fantastic buy. Yeah, I think he'll be happy with that. But before we hop into our next car, we're going to take a short break. Mattman said he has no particular brand loyalty. I just like what I like. And lately I've started appreciating some of the older cars. Dang, I thought Dan Don was going to win it. I thought so too, Mattman. Especially after user 123 said he was absolutely out at 158,000. You know, he could have bid up 158,250 and walked away with this Ferrari 612, but he didn't. Let's see what's on the horizon here for the Bring a Trailer auctions. I think we're going to hop into this Carrera 4S in around 17 minutes. We're going to take about a 5-minute break here, but we'll be back in a minute. Thanks so much, guys. All right, we're back on Auction House Live. Let's hop back into the auctions. Like I said, the next car we're going to be covering is this 996 Carrera 4S Coupe. This is a really, really nicely spec'd car, I think. It's based out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. I believe it's the same Bridgewater Acura seller that just closed on a 996 Turbo S about an hour ago. But this car is finished in midnight blue over a graphite gray leather interior. A couple modifications on this one, including an AWE exhaust. You can see the tips there. An Evo intake. It's a 6-speed car, and it comes with some recent maintenance. Mainly refinish of front and rear bumpers in that midnight blue. 2 new tires in the rear and a 4-wheel alignment. Not too much maintenance. No fluids. Probably a suspension by the dealership. But the Carrera 4S is super cool, especially in this midnight blue, because it has the same body from the contemporary Turbo. The midnight blue is a metallic paint. Looks really, really nice over the gray upholstery and interior. Classic 996 interior. I was commenting on the interior of the 996 Turbo S I covered, saying that all 996s kind of have the same interior. It's standard fare across all models, regardless of Carrera or Turbo S. Exactly the same thing. 3 pedals, 996 shifter, the classic Porsche gauge pod. This car isn't fitted with navigation, which I really like. Navigation, I think, dates a car tremendously, so to not have that is definitely an upside. This 4S has 82,000 miles on the digital odometer. We're sitting at 25,250. Price estimates for this, I would say, are high 20s, low 30s. It's hard to say. Kind of depends on the day. But there are some slight modifications to this example. AWE exhaust. You can see aftermarket Evo cold air intake. That is a huge pod filter. That's ridiculous. DME report shows 193 over revs in range 1 and 1 over rev in range 2. The 996 Turbo S we covered earlier had 10,800 over revs in range 1 and I think around 300 in range 2. So considering that, this engine is kind of lightly used in comparison. Over revs in range 1 to 3 aren't really a big deal once you approach range 5 to 6. Then it's a little bit worrying, but this midnight blue metallic example was $89,000 new. Has a few options: the xenon headlights, custom tailoring. You have graphite gray interior, some floor mats, standard fare, nothing too crazy. Heated front seats. I think it's a pretty base model for a 4S. It's not very optioned up. No carbon ceramic brakes, as you could tell by the red calipers. 4-piston front and rear, I believe. Drilled rotors. Same body as the Turbo, which is really cool. It had the same front lip as that Turbo S with the little inlet there. These are done in plastic, so I think they're not too bad to replace. But yeah, super. I think if I was going to get a 996, it'd either be a Carrera S or Carrera 4S if I wasn't going to go turbo. I just really like the wide body, and I think this color is incredible. The midnight blue looks so good. Not a huge fan of the AW exhaust. The tips don't look like they're properly aligned. They're quite crooked there.
Are those ovals?
Yeah, they're oval tips as well.
They look kind of not oval.
Yeah. They're on a bit of a 20 or 25 degree angle. The Carrera 4S has the classic rear Porsche light pod that extends over the entire deck lid. There you can see the deck louvering, which is just classic Porsche. I believe this has a pop-up wing, mainly for cooling, not so much for aero. Really like the wheels. They almost look like turbo twist wheels. They could be turbo twist wheels. I didn't see the description. A little bit of scuffs on the front lip. That's as expected. That's a plastic unit. peppered with some stone chips because it's a bit of a driver. This car has 82,000 miles, but looks pretty much like a nice example. This is offered out of Bridgewater, New Jersey 10 seconds ago at $25,250. We had a bit of a bid race up to $25,250. Will this sell? I think it will. Checking last seconds. Sold. $25,250 on this 996 Carrera 4S in blue metallic. What do you guys think of that? I know a lot of our viewers aren't too fond of the 996. Where I stand on the 996, I think they represent a really, really good value. If you can get into a 4S for $25,000 or a Turbo S for $57,000, really, really great sports cars as long as they're well maintained. I know the Carreras have IMS bearing problems, so I wonder if that was addressed in this one. This might be a later model car, or it might not have been an issue on the 4S. I'm not entirely sure. But regardless, I think these represent really, really good values, especially if you get a really nicely spec'd one in a deep color like this midnight blue. Everyone's saying really, really well bought. Good price on this at $29,250 with 85,000 miles, 82,000 miles. We're going to refresh our auctions here. There's that modified Datsun 510 that Mattman was eyeing earlier. He said that looked pretty nice.
Some bees when I get back.
Oh, yeah. Enjoy the tours, dude. Midnight MK7 is out, people. Just let you know. Some really cool cars coming up. We're about an hour 38 away from that Mazda Speed Miata. About 43 minutes to go on this E92 M3. And aside from that, not too much that's so interesting. I think what we're going to do here is do a little bit of investigative work on this E92 M3, 14,000 miles in Atlantis blue metallic. This looks like a BMW individual color. It was delivered through their European delivery program. The E92 is known for its 4-liter naturally aspirated V8, engine code S65. This has a 6-speed manual, piano black finish, competition package, cold weather package, premium package, M Sport exhaust system, European front bumper. It's offered at no reserve with a window sticker, factory literature, and a Maryland title. This is a private party selling this M3. The color is so gorgeous it almost looks like the modern day M2 color. Let me see. This color. I don't know the exact name of this. I think it's called Astoria blue. No, this is San Marino blue, I believe, or Long Beach blue. But it looks super familiar to that M2 launch color, which I really, really love. This car only has 14,000 miles. The E92 is undoubtedly my favorite M car, I think. Modern day M car. Unfortunately, this car has the hump. The hump, for those who don't know, is the iDrive. Some cars were delivered on rare occasion without this, and it's so clean and classic because all you have is climate control and radio, two functions that will never really age. The iDrive in these cars, unfortunately, ages them quite quickly. Here you can see the interior just looks absolutely brand new. Classic M3 seats with contrast stitching, the M Performance shift knob, thick rim M Sport steering wheel, piano black trim. There's that S65 4-liter V8. One thing I love about this V8 is that it revs all the way to 8,300 RPM, 414 horsepower at 8,300, 295 pound-feet of torque from 3,900. Super common modification on these is actually adding a turbocharger. The install is actually quite simple. You remove the factory velocity stacks and the supercharger bolts on right on top. I think if I were to acquire an example like this, one of 3 Atlantis Blue, competition package, only 14,000 miles, that I would refrain from supercharging it. I think these are fast enough. They make an incredible sound. And I'm just super fond of them. This is a 2013 and price MSRP in 2013 was $79,000. Pretty cool that this car was involved in BMW's European delivery, where you can actually spec and pick up your car in Germany, drive it around for a bit, and then have BMW ship it off. Here we can see it actually has the European spec bumper. One of the ways to tell a European spec bumper from a US spec bumper is there's no side marker here that's mandated by the US. I'm surprised he was able to take delivery of this. Perhaps they shipped it with the US spec bumper and the Euro spec bumper, and then he just swapped them when he got here. But really cool to see. Something my partner Kyle and I always like to see is that bumpers are not drilled. This bumper, definitely not drilled on this Atlantis Blue E92 M3. This is one of 3 cars ever finished in this color. Seems like a bit of a BMW individual program. I mentioned earlier in the stream that it looks super familiar to the modern day BMW M2 Blue, as you can see here. Super similar shade to that Long Beach Blue. One thing to denote is that this car does have the competition package. You can tell that by the competition wheels. This is an E92 because it's a 2-door hardtop coupe. Drilled rotors in the front and rear. Factory steel M3 brakes. You have that M Performance exhaust system. This car is from Maryland. Private seller who took delivery of this, like I said, in Germany. Really, really cool M3. $79,000 new. Here you can see, I appreciate that he got these higher elevation shots where you can see the carbon fiber roof. That's one of my favorite features of the M3. I would never spec one of these with a sunroof because they offered that exposed carbon fiber roof, and that's coated with a thicker gel coat so you can really see the weave super well. Car only has 14,000 miles. I'd be interested to know if it's covered in clear bra because the front of it looks pretty immaculate. But I love the E92 just because of how wide and menacing they are. You can see the hood bulge right there. You have M3 specific mirrors which are optimized for aerodynamics, and then really, really pronounced but almost subtle fender flares where if you were to see this car driving down the road, unless you're a keen enthusiast, I don't think you'd really bat an eye. You just think it was a 3 Series, but at the same time it has enough flair to it where it really pops to those who know what it is. This car just looks exceptionally clean. There's that carbon fiber roof that I was mentioning before. Looks like he has a Riviera Blue 992 in the garage as well. Really cool garage setup. Super clean. A little bit of a ding there, nothing major. That would be $75 by an experienced PDR guy. Here, really cool shot. I really appreciate the seller doing that. I lost my my shot there, but it shows how metallic-y. Where is that shot? Right here, shows how metallic-y that Atlantis Blue is. Look at all that flake. It's a super beautiful color. Let's go through the wheels here. One of my favorite wheels ever fitted to a car. The competition wheels, they are free of any road rash. One thing the M3 does really, really well is that all the touch points are done to such a high level. So here you can see just a beautiful steering wheel, thick rim, contrast M stitching, fits really, really nicely in your hand. You can see there the tack red line is set at about 8,200 RPM. Really, really cool. This car only showing 14,000 miles. Really classic BMW gauges. This is the piano black trim. I believe carbon fiber was an option, but looks sharp with the piano black trim. I wish it didn't have this iDrive system. Dates it a little bit. They call this the hump. Wish it didn't have the hump. Regardless, such a clean example. The S65s are known to be need a little bit of maintenance, but overall be really reliable compared to other engines like the S85, which is the 5-liter V10, and the E60 M5. Those were a bit of a maintenance nightmare, but these S65 V8s, they have a 4-liter displacement. In higher mile examples, 80 to 100,000, you'll see rod bearings start to go. A lot of guys do the rod bearings and upgrade them as a standard maintenance item. But if you keep fresh synthetic oil in them, I always advise buyers of engines that require rod bearings, that eat through rod bearings like these S65s to do Blackstone oil analysis tests between every oil change, because you can follow, you can really monitor your engine's life really, really well, because the oil is like the blood of the engine, right? So if you're seeing higher traces of metals in your oil as your engine gets higher in mileage, then it might be time to change out those rod bearings before anything happens. The aftermarket for these cars is extremely robust and healthy. You have everything from supercharger kits to stroker kits from Dynon, intakes, exhausts, upgraded suspension, wheels, chassis stiffening. The aftermarket's super, super strong for E90 series M3s. Turner Motorsports is a huge player in that. But as you can see, this Atlantis Blue M3 is completely immaculate. I mean, I've never seen a front fender this clean. He must have the US spec front bumper that he's been running, because there isn't a scratch on the underside of this front bumper. It's pretty remarkable. There you can see the control arms. All the bushings look fresh. No cracks or surface oxidation in the control arms whatsoever. Sway bar end link looks to be in good shape. Coil spring looks fine. Super, super clean. So if you're just joining us, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions about 3 times a week. Right now, we are commenting on this E92 M3. This is one of 3 E92s spec'd in Atlantis Blue Metallic. If you have any questions for me, if you want to see any cars, or if you just want to chat, hop into our chat right now. We've had Mattman commenting a bit in there today. But yeah, I'd appreciate any comments that are coming in. Here's the other side. Much like the right side, the left side looks just as clean. No surface oxidation. All the bushings look fresh. Just looks like really, really well maintained E90 2M3. I would love to take possession of this car. This is one of my favorite M cars. I think I would keep it primarily stock. They do offer fixed. I think M Performance offers carbon fiber fixed back seats that I think I might fit. The only complaint I've really heard about E92 M3s, aside from the smallish torque figure, is that you sit a little bit high in the car. And at 6'1", I think I would either have to put on lower seat rails or just swap out the seats altogether. But either than that, this kind of looks like my perfect M3. As you can see here, base price of this car was $55,000, and this one was spec'd all the way up to $79,000. Sorry about that. Atlantis Blue was a $5,000 color. That is the most expensive option on this car altogether. I think that color was probably spec'd through BMW's individual program, which is a very popular program now. In later F80 M3s, we're seeing a lot of individual cars produced. But this car also has the extended leather interior. I think that includes leather on the dash and more leather on the door cards. Competition package, probably the best bang for your buck in terms of the M3, where you have dynamic damper control, those 19-inch alloy wheels, which would set you back $2,500 alone, and then you also have other exterior features denoting the competition pack. It says cold weather package, not surprised it's a Northeast car. Premium package as well. This $3,500 option, what is this for? Blue contrast stitching. It was a $3,500 option. That is crazy. Black piano trim was a G. Let me see. I didn't even pick up on the blue contrast stitching, which for... There it is. You can see it in the headrest, even though it's not in focus. But $3,500 for some contrast stitching that doesn't even appear to be on the rear seats, but you can see it there on the rear armrests. And wow, that's crazy. Yeah, there it is. There's a blue contrast stitching. Seller is definitely making that known, considering how expensive it was. But we're about 28 minutes out. We're sitting at $48,500 on this E92 BMW M3. Let's take a minute and look at some comparables. E90 M3. Let's see. There we go. BMW E90, E92 M3. So this is the one that's listed. Looking at the price chart, without even pinpoint, hovering over this dot, I'm gonna say this was a frozen car at $65,000. Correct. That was a frozen blue car with 5,000 miles. It sold for $65,500, 2013. We have a Lime Rock edition that sold for $48,000. 16,000 mile Santorini blue 2013 that sold for $46,000. So I would say this Santorini car is pretty similar to this Atlantis blue car. Similar mileage, just a 2K mile deviation in the two. And that one closed out at $46,000. So I would say at $48,500, this car is undoubtedly selling with 27 minutes to go. Yeah, we had a 15,000 mile 2013. Granted, that was a DCT car, not a 6-speed manual, that sold for $45,200. So I think we're right in the money for this Atlantis Blue example. I'd be curious to see how high it does go. Let's take a look at the bid patterns on this to see if we just had a knockout bid at the end there for $48,500, or if there's been a bit of a natural progression up to that. Let's see when the last bid came in. Quite a few comments. This looks like a super loved car. So 48.5 came in from M6 speed, and that was a bit up from a tad under 47 or 48,000 by C Turnbull. Let's see what C Turnbull. That sounds like a familiar name. Huh. Thought I might have known a C Turnbull. But the highest bidder is M6 Speed. Really appropriate name for this car. Has been a member since July of 18. Has been looking for his M3. His two comments on this Atlantis Blue M3 is that it's amazing that rod bearings only came up on the last day. That's a major accomplishment. So congrats to you all. It's a little tongue-in-cheek humor right there. I definitely agree with you, Jersey Dirt. One needs to appreciate this engine for what it was designed to do, but that may not be for everyone depending upon how the car is used. I think with the E90 series M3s and the S65 specifically, S65 being that 4-liter V8, these cars need to be revved out to get any power out of them, really, with a redline of 8,300 RPM and peak power at that redline essentially. You really, really need to rev these cars. But we have 25 minutes to go on this 2013 BMW M3 Coupe. Let's see what's going on with some other auctions. Right now, we're going to hop on here and check it out. For those of you who are watching right now, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions about 3 times a week. Per Mattman's request, we're going to hop into this modified 1971 Datsun 510 6-speed out of Carlsbad, California. This is a 2300cc engine. It's an inline 4. Looks like it has quite a bit of work per the name. Modified 71 Datsun 510. Looks like it has a fully built engine with JE pistons, Mikuni carburetors, Ermish racing headers, 5-speed manual box from a later model 240SX was installed in place of the automatic. That's pretty cool that we're looking at a 5-speed swap here. The 14-inch RS wheels look really, really cool on this. And also it's sitting on coilovers. Has a really nice low stance to it. Only 53,000 miles shown on the TMU. I wonder if there's any discrepancy in that, given that it is a 1971. We're bid up to $38,000 on this 510. So this car has been repainted a shade brighter than its original Spanish red. Has had some exterior work done, some holes in the rear deck lid patched up. Interior looks exceptionally clean and well sorted. Wow. Really, really nice. Trimmed in black leather. It looks like the manual swap was done extremely cleanly. The clutch pedal and shifter right there in plain view. Really nice spacing on the pedals for heel towing. Has a digital odometer of the 53,000 miles now showing on that odometer. About 3,000 have been added by the seller. There you can see, wow, that completely modified 2300cc inline 4 longitudinally mounted. Really, really cool. Look at those velocity stacks. That's really cool. Big carburetor right there. And it's actually been bored out, which I didn't catch. I knew it had the aftermarket JE pistons, but I didn't know it had been built out. Rebuilt carbs, and a 2.5-inch stainless steel exhaust. Considering that this car probably weighs, 2,300 pounds. That's a guess just based on the size. I'm not too familiar with the weight of 510s here, but I'm sure the 242 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque out of that built inline 4 feels very nice. And this small chassis there, you can see the stainless steel exhaust coming off of that inline 4. That's a 2.5-inch exhaust. And there's that 240SX 5-speed manual. Looks like a really, really nice transmission that was either resprayed or refinished. From the factory, this 510 came with 3-speed automatic. And we actually see in this super funny a limited slip diff from an 04 WRX. Mixing of 2 JDM brands for this one. ST suspension coilovers, really, really cool. Brakes mounted on the top of the disc. Haven't seen that before. We have slotted and drilled rotors though. Plethora of 100 invoices, wow, and factory documentation. All these documents show all the modifications that have done to it. They, I think there's an invoice in there for the repaint as well. But let's go through this gallery a little bit. Batman, really good suggestion. Looking into this Datsun 510. Really appreciate that one. This is such a clean example. Fully restored. There's those 14-inch RS wheels. Really cool wheel on this Datsun. Looks like all the chrome work has been done exceptionally well. Bids are starting to flow in for this as we approach the end of the auction. We're sitting at $39,000. 254 photos too. That's a good sign that we have a super reputable seller that's incredibly transparent. Really cool steering wheel. Almost looks like a Momo Prototipo steering wheel with that small Datsun moniker in the center. A little bit of wear on the thigh extension there. Rear seats are done nicely. Really cool. I would love to have a go in one of these. Looks like it has undergone a very, very nice restoration. A little bit of paint damage there, nothing too major. Mainly looks like there's peeling paint and discolored paint inside the door sills, which isn't the worst thing. Yeah, it looks like between panels we have a little bit of paint damage, maybe under the hood a little bit. But there's that built inline four with JE pistons, upgraded radiator, brand new carburetors. It just looks extremely clean. Look at all the fittings that look to be done in billet. Really, really nice setup, making around 240 horsepower. Really great accessibility to the oil filter to change oil. This car has a 240SX 5-speed manual that was swapped in and its factory 3-speed automatic was popped out. Really clean car. And the bids are showing. We're up to 46 grand. Wow. I think we might have had a knockout bid there. Yep, we jumped from 39,000 all the way up to 45.5 from Three Pedal Collective. And then there was a rebuttal at 46,000. Crazy ass saying, I'll say. We're less than a minute to go on this modified 1971 Datsun 510. This is Auction House Live. If you're just tuning in, shoot us a comment in the chat. Or if you've been watching for a while, also shoot us a comment in the chat about what you're looking at today in terms of Bring a Trailer auctions, what you're excited to see. Right now we're covering this Datsun 510, another big bid from Three Pedal Collective. That's right. The race is certainly on, Blockhead. We're sitting at 50,510. Fitting bid for this Datsun 510 with its built 2300cc inline 4 with JE pistons, reworked carburetors, 2.5-inch stainless steel exhaust, ST coilovers, upgraded brakes. It's been gone through. It's been repainted a shade darker or lighter, I can't really remember, than its factory red, sitting on 14-inch RS wheels. Over 100 invoices since 1971 are included. You can see the patina on some of these invoices that date way back 40 years. Funny enough, one of the most quirky things I found about this 1971 Datsun 510 5-speed is that it has a limited slip differential from a 2004 WRX STI. I would not expect that in a Datsun. I would expect the 240SX 5-speed swap. Seems like a no-brainer swap in this 510. Looks to be done extremely well. Looks factory. But such a cool looking car. Really great proportions. And this car is out of Carlsbad, California, Southern California car. We just got bid up to 51,510. I think it's safe to say the ending bid will probably have 510 in it. This is from a private party. Go, go, go. Let's check out his profile. See if this is the first car he's auctioned off, or if he has a little bit of a history. So he's auctioned off 2 510s. His last 510 was a 71 4-speed. Definitely not modified. Looks like it was sitting on the original wheels with dots and hubcaps, finished in white. I much prefer this 1971 510 5-speed. And Go 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 actually won a super clean 1996 993 Carrera Coupe for $44,000 in February of this year. So looks like he's making some moves, changing around the garage a little bit. And I'm excited to see what his ultra clean modified 510 is going to go for. We're sitting at $51,500 with less than a minute to go. If you're just tuning in, this is Auction House Live. Jump on into the live chat. Shoot us a comment. Tell us what you think about this 510 or of the E92 in Atlantis Blue that we're going to cover as our last car for today. Would love to hear from you guys. Shout out to Matt Man for recommending this car. Just as another $510 bid comes in for $53,510. What? Not done yet. Yep. E86 Nerd says, anyone who doubts that BAT reaches the right buyers, this one should be proof that all you need is the answer is yes. I think that comment is insinuating that this 510 would not have hit this $53,000 number had it been sold outside of Bring a Trailer or outside of the forums or outside of a platform that is built around the community of enthusiasts. I think the highest bidder, Three Pedal Collective, is, as well as the other bidders who have gotten the car to this point, is super appreciative of this 510 and all the work that has gone into it. I mean, we're talking about a car that comes with 100 service invoices. You can see all the photos here of that manual swap and restoration. We have clutches and flywheels photographed right there. Upgraded gauge pod, new steering wheel, just a full restoration on this. Looks like the paint, from my personal opinion, might have been a little bit rough, specifically in the jams underneath the hood. If it was my 510, I think I might, spend the money to get the paint perfect, but then enjoy it for what it is. I think this car would be fast as hell too, considering how petite it is, and yet it has a built inline 4 2300cc engine, pushing out about 240 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque. There you can see it out of the car, getting built up. Those carburetors right there. So this initially was a 1600cc engine. I believe it was stroke and bored out to 2300. Really, really cool build. Seems like the owner is also a 510 enthusiast. So, yeah. And we're sold at 53,510, like I had said. I was pretty certain that the ending price would be something 510, and it just so happened to be. A lot of shock about the fact that this hit such a high dollar. I'm not too surprised, considering that the seller of this car is a 510 enthusiast. It looks like he did this restoration right. Spent a lot of cash in doing so. A lot of disbelief. A lot of people saying this is on the tipping point of a rust box. I wouldn't have said that. I super rough paint, especially in the jams and underneath the hood, and around the car. It definitely needs a better respray, but it looked like the drivetrain was rock solid. Had that differential from a 2004 STI, which I found to be really, really cool. A great amount of engine work. The engine bay looked exceptionally clean. And yeah, another great auction. Thanks again, Matt Mann, for recommending that. We have one more auction on the books. We have this 14K mile 2013 BMW M3 Coupe, which is a 6-speed model, finish in Atlantis Blue Metallic. That's an individual BMW color. For those who don't know, BMW Individual is their in-house specialty special spec department, if you want to call it that, department where you can kind of, it's like Porsche's paint to sample department, where you could pick from a range of rare sought after colors, and Atlantis Blue did not come cheap. That color was $5,000 option. So we're going to be going between this E92, back between this E92 and this 2004 Mazda Speed Miata, which we're following closely, which just got bid up to $10,350. Some cool comments about this Mazda Speed Miata. We're sitting at $10,350 with about an hour to go. Price estimations on this car are between $12,000 and $14,000. Seems to be a bit of a premium for these titanium gray examples, specifically with the contrasting suede seats. But right now we have 8 minutes to go on this E92 BMW M3 Coupe. For those of you who don't know or are not familiar with the E90 series M3s, you have the E90, which is the 4-door, E92, which is the coupe like this one, and the E93, which was the hardtop convertible. This is an E92. Really cool features about this car include its Atlantis Blue Metallic color, carbon fiber roof. It has the competition package, which includes an adaptive suspension system, as well as the forged competition wheels, which is probably one of my favorite features of the car. This owner took delivery of his vehicle in Europe. So another really cool quirk about this specific E92 M3 is that it retains European spec front bumper, a European spec front bumper, excuse me. And you can tell that this is a European spec front bumper because it has no federalized side marker. Typically there's an orange side marker there. But for those of you who are watching or just tuned in, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions about 3 times a week. As Matt Mann, one of our astute viewers, mentioned, I'm doing this solo today. Typically I have my partner Kyle with me, and we both comment on these auctions. We're working with Bring a Trailer to gain some more traffic and send some more viewers to our live stream. We're trying to do so in the most respectful way possible, but we think these live streams are a great complement to their auctions. Right now we are tuning into, I think, my favorite car of the day, this E92 M3, finished in a color that is one of 3. There are only 3 E92s finished in Atlantis Blue Metallic. This one has contrasting stitching done in blue as well, which was a $3,500 option. Piano black trim, $1,000 option. Competition package, $2,500 option. Premium package, which I almost wish it didn't have because I prefer my E92 sans navigation. I think the E92s without navigation units will age a lot better and also appreciate a lot faster. There you can see the business end of this E92. That's the S65 4-liter V8 naturally aspirated and rated to 414 horsepower, all the way up at its red line of 8,300 RPM. And it also has around 295 pound-feet of torque early on, though, at 3,900 RPM. The characteristics of these engines are that you have to rev them and rev them and rev them and rev them. But they're super enjoyable to rev because they sound so great, especially this one with the BMW M Performance exhaust, which replaces the stock setup but still retains, that OEM quality, being at the end of the day a BMW unit. Looks like it still has 2 catalytic converters and a resonator, so probably just a little bit louder in the muffler section. Price for this M3 when it was new, $79,000. And we have 4 minutes to go, and we're sitting at $49,000. I have to say, this car has to have hit reserve based on the comps. There was a similar E92 that ran previously in a Santorini blue, I believe it was called, with 14,000 miles, and that example sold for, I want to say it was $47,000. So $49,000, I think we surpassed reserve. VK627 says one of the best E92s I've seen. I'm a huge E46 fan, but we'll own one of these in the future. This should bring $70K plus. I completely disagree with that evaluation. I think if this was a frozen car, it would bring in the 60s. But, being an Atlantis Blue BMW individual car, one of 3, yes, but and with 14,000 miles, yes, but I don't think we're going to be approaching 70,000. I think mid-50s is where this might reside. But like I said, based on my estimations, I would say we already hit reserve. So if you're just tuning in now, this is Auction House Live. We cover Bring a Trailer auctions about 3 days a week. Hop on in the comment section and leave us a comment. We had Matt Man in there earlier. Really appreciate it, Matt. Right now we're covering this E92 2013 BMW M3 Coupe. So we just had a $49,250 bid come in from 4-Wheel Drift with less than 2 minutes to go. I think that M6 Speed will definitely have a rebuttal to that. Another bid just came in. We're at $49,500. Yep, as I predicted, M6 Speed with the rebuttal. Let's see how this one goes. We have 966 watchers, 24,000 views. Probably one of the most watched and viewed auctions of the day on this Atlantis Blue E92 M3. Only damage that we can see on this 14,000 mile example is 2 dings. That would be absolutely no issue for a PDR specialist to get out. Looks like a little tiny ding on the front and rear bumpers. Kind of funny that the owner of this car printed out that yellow arrow to indicate exactly where they are in his photographs. That's a cool little detail. But exceptionally clean. This car is based out of Maryland. Earlier in the stream, I went through the underbody. All the bushings and control arms look fresh. Absolutely no surface oxidation on this car, not even on the exhaust, which is surprising for a northeastern car, but not surprising considering this has only been driven for 14,000 miles. There you can see the M Performance exhaust with its chrome tips. I'm just in love with this color. Like I said earlier in the stream, it reminds me of modern day M2 in the Long Beach blue. Super similar shade, and I think it really complements the E92 extremely well. You can kind of tell an E92 from a regular 3 Series from its front bumper, the bulge in the hood, wider front and rear fenders, M3 only wing mirrors, carbon fiber roof, and of course competition wheels. So quite a lot to deviate it from the standard 335 or 328. But we have less than 30 seconds to go, and a bid just came in as I said that for $51,000. Bid placed by CVLC. Mixing things up here. Let's see if M6 Speed has a rebuttal. My price estimation for this car was mid 50s. I know there were some other comments saying it's going to hit 70. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to outperform the 5,000 mile frozen blue E92 M3 with a 6-speed that sold for $65,500. Another bid just came in. We're sitting at $52,000. Not surprised. This is coming from M6 Speed. He or she has been a member since, I think when I looked at their profile, around 2018. Hasn't bid on anything since. And kind of came out of the woodwork for this E92 M3. I think with a name like M6 Speed, he or she is probably pretty serious about this E92. Just taking a look at the comments here. A lot of guys saying that this pretty much looks like the ultimate E92, and I must agree with them. I think it's pretty cool that this car is also set at no reserve. I just realized that after mentioning that the reserve is probably set at the mid 40s. So no reserve on this guy. Should have been a little bit more observant of that one. So whatever price you see is the price it's selling at. 52.5. Another 2 minutes added to this 2013 BMW M3 Coupe. So we're sitting at $54,000. Excuse me for looking at my phone, just catching up on some emails here. For those of you who are tuned in, this is Auction House Live. We do bring a trailer auctions about 3 times a week. Right now we're covering this beautiful Atlantis Blue M3. Bids are just flying in for this one. I think my price estimation might be a little bit shattered on this car. It is a bit of a unicorn, being one of 3 in this color. And it's such a great color because it came standard in the M2, right? So it wasn't a color that was offered unless you ordered it specifically from BMW's individual program, but a color that BMW later decided to implement, or one that's super close to this shade in the M2. It's a really interesting color because right here you could see it almost has a Laguna Seca blue vibe to it, and then in other areas it comes off as a lot darker, like right there. So it looks like this color just has a lot of personality to it. We're sitting at $57,000. A bit of a bidding war between M6 Speed and CVLC. CVLC is not messing around. Jersey Dirt mentions on this one. No, he is not. Bid up to 58 already by M6 Speed. Let's see if this takes the crown for E92s. I know the highest E92 that ever sold on Bring a Trailer was for $65,500. We're already at $60,000. Cascade One saying, well, that escalated rather quickly. Yes, it did. Yes, it did for sure. Almost at Lime Rock money. Yep. For those of you not familiar, the Lime Rock Edition M3 is another super sought after E90 series M3, as well as the Frozen cars. The Frozen cars now hold the BAT record. I want to throw in a little comment. Approaching. Bid up to $61,000. As you can see there, that's one of my biggest frustrations with Bring a Trailer. I have a comment, I write it, I take my time to write it out, I hit submit, and it simply disappears. Jesus Christ. Excuse me. We all the way up to $63,000. Doesn't seem like CVLC is going to let this one go. There's my comment finally. Approaching low mileage Frozen E90 pricing. Cool. Wow. For a car that's number one, not a Frozen car. Number two, not a Dynan Stroker car. I know those hold a high premium. And number three, not supercharged or heavily modified or anything like that. $63,000 is a very good price. Wow. We'll see if M6 Speed has a rebuttal for that. I kind of feel for the guy considering he's been a member since 2018 and he's only bid on this car. With a username like that, it seems like a car like this is for him. And that he's kind of been lurking, waiting for an example like this. Sitting at $63,000, 40 seconds to go. Jersey Dirt says he puts more value on this color than the Frozen Blue that set the current record. I believe Frozen Blue production might have been 15 cars. Wow, we have a third party coming in, JFV, placing a bid for $63,500. Wow. A lot of people saying that that Jersey Dirt's evaluation of the rarity of this Atlantis Blue exceeds the super rare run of Frozen cars, which is another name for matte cars that BMW made. VK627, I believe he mentioned this earlier. We're close to Lime Rock range. The Lime Rock E90 cars were finished in a Lime Rock orange. They're made as a commemoration piece in limited numbers, and launched at Lime Rock Park, which is a small racetrack in Connecticut. We're up to $64,500, bid by CVLC. I have a feeling M6 Speed is out of this game. That this is between CVLC and JFV. I could be wrong. It doesn't seem like CVLC is letting this one go. Let's take a look at his profile to see what kind of reputation he holds. Aztec Spec saying this is great to watch. I had no idea it would go this high. We're $2K off of the Bring a Trailer record at $66,500. CVLC is quite the Bring a Trailer fan, has been around since May of 2015, has auctioned off about 9 cars. Seems like he's a German performance guy. He had an M6 Coupe SMG, 914, a early Boxster, what appears to be a 964 Carrera 4 wide body, and a E36 M3. He's now the highest bidder on this 14K mile 2013 BMW M3 Coupe, sitting at $64,500. Comments are just rushing in on this car as we take a look at this seller. Looks like he also has an S52 BMW M Coupe that he won for $29,500. These cars would look beautiful next to each other. 31,000 mile. Let's see if this has the S52. Another bid just came in. Excited to see what that number is for. No engine modifications out of Las Vegas. Really cool on gold BBS wheels. Let's go back to the main attraction. We're at $65,000 by JFV. Based on his bidding tendencies, I would say CVLC has a rebuttal for this. A lot of guys are commenting on the rarity of this car versus Lime Rocks and Frozens. It's rare. It's one of three. JFV's last bid was $168K on a Z8. Looks like he has no issue paying for the $65,000 14K mile E92 M3. Zed fan highlight of my week right here. Wow, $66,000 from CVLC. Big price. We're $500 off of the E90 record for this one. This is crazy. This is wild to watch. JFV out of nowhere. Let's check the stream, see if we have any comments. We have 2 watching right now. Thanks for tuning in to Auction House Live. This is our coverage of Bring a Trailer auctions. We do this about 3 times a week. We have a minute to go, just over a minute to go. I'm going to say 500 off the record. Less than a minute to go. We're now in the red. Super did go for $77K, VK627. We covered that Mark IV Super earlier in the day. I completely agree. I'm more of an M3 guy than a Super guy all day. If I could, this Atlantis Blue E92 M3 would be mine. Less than 26 seconds to go. Will it sell for $66,000? Seemed like CVLC was super motivated to get this car. Kind of feel for M6 Speed, who kind of sees his biddings around the $60,000 mark, I want to say. I'm not surprised in the slip. Wow. There we go. So that ties the record for the highest E90 series M3, this being an E92 Atlantis Blue M3. Records are being broken today on Bring a Trailer with this car. 14,000 miles. We have everything. We have a $5,000 paint to sample color, 6-speed, competition pack, premium package, cold weather package, M Sport exhaust. Everything on this car. And we're sitting at $66,500. Let's take a look through this car's gallery. Really beautiful example. I mentioned earlier that this paint just has so many different personalities. It looks light blue in some colors, really dark and deep in others, and then the seller was gracious enough to include a photo of the paint when he had a flashlight on it, and the metallic was so prominent. So I think in the sunlight it would become something completely different. So super cool color. One of 3 ever made. European delivery. Checks all the right boxes. Really cool garage. You can tell he loves his blue cars. That looks like a Riviera Blue 992. But we have less than 16 seconds to go. We're sitting at 66,500. Would really like to see this car go for the price to tie the record, and I think it just might. 3 seconds to go, and we are sold at $66,500 to JFV. Wow, cool. So for those of you watching, thank you so much for tuning in. This car concludes our coverage of Bring a Trailer auctions today. This is Auction House Live. Today was a bit of a slower day. Missing my partner in action here. He's on vacation, but we still carry on despite that. Still working for us. Still trying to work with Bring a Trailer and figure out the best way to promote this stream. We really think this would be a great compliment to their auction platform. We really like commenting on cars. But for those who are still in the stream, please follow this 53,000 mile 2004 Mazda Speed Miata. Getting super excited for this auction. It's sitting at 10,350. And yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll either be back tomorrow or if not next week sometime. Appreciate the comments from Mattman today. Really made the stream enjoyable. But thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye.